Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It's myself, George, and tonight I'm joined by Tate as we review a major new release. I think we can say that's out for everyone to see. This is, of course, the Cruella. I want to say the latest live-action Disney remake, but I'm going to straight up say this isn't a live-action Disney remake. This is a villain origin, which is an interesting discussion piece. Before we get into it, because I've got a horrible feeling that we might get a lot of villain origin films now, so that's why I started then, because I just realised that, that we're gonna now get Captain Hook, the biopic.
I mean, we've already got Maleficent, so
yeah. Oh god, they're gonna keep going. That being said, before we delve into all that kind of stuff, let's go over the socials as well.
Yeah, sure. So obviously we have loads of videos coming out and loads of things that you guys have to keep up with. So please go and first of all comment below with your thoughts on Cruella. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And then to see all our videos coming up, go onto Facebook. That is just Cinema Savvy. Twitter, Cinema_Savvy. Letterboxd, Cinema Savvy. And go into the link in the description for TeePublic, where we have loads of T-shirts.
Definitely. So first things first, obviously this is an origin. We're not going to do spoilers outright. We're not going to say X, Y, Z happens. We are going to obviously give our thoughts on it. And as it's an origin, it is fair to assume that she becomes Cruella de Vil at the end of the film. I think we just get that in the same way that Joker did. And what a time to bring up Joker, because let's talk about our thoughts heading into this film. Before we talk about like maybe our history when we were younger with Dalmatians live action or animated, I hated the first trailer I saw for this one because I thought, oh my words, they've just basically done Joker but as Cruella. From the sort of the music choices, the shot choices, all that stuff in the trailer, I was quite paranoid because I was like, I really don't like the look of this, and I loved the original film growing up as a kid, the Glenn Close one, which is pretty big shoes to follow, I'd say, for a role, putting that lightly. And I was very nervous about heading into this film, up to the point where I wasn't too fussed until I sat down in the cinema and was watching it.
Yeah, I was. I'll be honest. I was never a fan of the Glenn Close film. I always liked the animated film more. I felt like more of a connection to that. Maybe it was just kind of the Disney childhood. I would always watch animated films instead of watching kind of any of the live action stuff that they would put forward. But like for me, the trailer was not good. Dare I say, after watching the film, probably one of the worst trailers that could have been made for this film. They did try and go with that Joker angle. I know that Joker was extremely popular, and the trailer for Joker and everything like that, trying to match that, it just didn't fit this film's style. If it had gone and done its own thing, I feel like maybe in the same style as Promising Young Woman's trailer and go with that kind of theme and that kind of vibe, this film maybe kind of picked up more. I feel like this film's going to be watched quite heavily because it's going to be on Disney Plus. It's out in the cinemas already. And it's going to be free on Disney Plus or part of the service after, I believe, is it 6 weeks?
I'm not sure. Time. I know they're trying the 45-day rule, so it may come into play in the UK. I think it definitely is in America. But yeah, I think in America this weekend's one of the big. You know, there's like X amount of anniversaries a year. Yeah. I think this is one of their big ones where you get big releases, and obviously we've got Quiet Place 2 out in America versus Cruella. I think this is going to be the biggest box office weekend they've had since coronavirus. I think a lot of people are going to see this, even here in the UK. For 5:20 on a Friday night, that screening was quite busy, and a lot of people from all ages, which was kind of nice to see, if that makes sense. Luckily, there's no one sat next to me. We still get gaps, but it was one of those where I think this is going to have a massive turnout.
Yeah, for COVID times, I mean, my cinema was kind of half full, I'd say. For at least COVID capacity, but there was such a range of people. I saw people taking their kids. I saw elderly people kind of going to watching it. I saw people my age. It was such a widespread, which is so good to see as part of cinema. Obviously, the cinemas are reopening and stuff like that, and we've had A Quiet Place 2, which is going to be releasing soon. But this is kind of the first new release for the cinemas reopening, or at least the new big release. So I'm glad to see people going back into cinemas, and yeah, it's good to see that at least people are going to go and watch this. And once again, I will say this now, I'll get my kind of opinion straight away. This film is fantastic. This is a very fun film to watch. I'm very much looking forward to the second time of watching this film because I feel like I'm going to pick up on more stuff. But this was not what I expected.
No, I'm the same. I came out of this film, well, even watching, I was like, you know, when you kind of like good songs come on and your feet starts tapping with them. And I was like, this music's really good. And I was like, this film's really good. Like, why am I enjoying fashion sense? I've not seen The Devil Wears Prada, which I asked you about straight away.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of, it reminded me of Mean Girls. It's that very much that petty sort of bitchiness and the one-uppance of another person. I love that kind of rivalry. And I had such a fun time watching this, and I was shocked I wouldn't. I kind of felt a bit bad because I didn't go with my sister. I came out the screen, I was like, you both would love this. I was like, we're going to go next week, so I'm going to see it again. And I came up saying, I want to go back to the cinema. And it's amazing because there's so few films like you forget what it's like when you come out of films. Like, I want to see it again. Yeah. I'm not gonna pay the 20 quid on Disney Premium. I probably could. It's probably cheaper for everyone, but I like to go to the cinema and watch it. And the audience was all right. There was like a couple of like kids with their mums, and you hitting that age, I think we are, where we're seeing people probably 5-6 years older than us. It's like Lion King. They grew up with the original, and they're taking their kids to watch the new ones. And you know, the animated films are generational, but this is like a live action type of it, and that's what I thought was amazing was getting that attendance. But I had so much fun with this film, and I'm going to kind of say that really passing thoughts on Dalmatians. I've not seen it since I was a kid, but we had the live action VHS, so I always remember it. You know, the eyes, the car, everything. So this was one, like I said, I wasn't too fussed for, and I've been looking forward to a lot of these Disney films, which is for better or worse a bad thing. But this one's kind of reinvigorated that, you know, it'd be great if they did more things like this. And then I thought we're getting a Little Mermaid shot-for-shot remake and a couple of other things. Like, I'm glad we aren't getting Ursula, the biopic, and things Christ. Like that. So, not to give them too many ideas, but I think a big talking point is obviously Emma Stone playing Cruella. Again, the trailer, some of the clips they were using of her were sort of so... I know obviously a trailer takes things out of context, but when she's like giving stuff like, I'm Cruella, it's like, they took a really dramatic, important scene from the film and they put 2 words in from a monologue. And I was kind of sat there like, why did you put that pronunciation in? Because that was the whole like Joker thing. And I thought Emma Stone was superb in this. I mean, we know she's a fantastic actress. Even though I'm not a massive fan of Lan, she's wonderful in it. She's great in so many things. But this, again, terrible marketing. She is unbelievable in this.
She really does pop off the screen, and she does that in a lot of her performances. I've been a massive fan of her for a few years now. I think she just always puts in a stellar performance no matter what film she's in. And yeah, in this film, she absolutely takes the reins. She is an absolute star in this film. She makes you believe like she could be a younger version of Cruella, whether it be kind of the Glenn Close version or whether it be the animated version as well. Just as a younger version, that kind of manic, kind of almost teetering towards the edge, but also very much kind of focused on what her dream is and kind of fashion and stuff like that. They do go with kind of, I know in Maleficent they went with, oh, she could have been good, but actually she ended up kind of turning and stuff like that. Yeah. And this kind of hints at that in the same way. They go with that same route of, well, it is a villain, but we do want to give her some kind of humanity behind her and stuff like that. And the story in this one that goes with that, we're not really going to spoil too much here because talking about the story at all, I feel like would spoil the entire film. It's one of those very weird films where we can kind of only drop in little things, but we can say that she has quite a tragic backstory, and that kind of slowly deteriorates her character throughout the entire film to the point where she does truly become herself towards the end. And you can see that transformation in the character, and Emma Stone just plays that off so well.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of origin films, and I know you don't actually get... I say a lot of origin films. You don't get many villain ones, and I'm going to jump to Venom. I know Venom's got his fans, but you come to the end of the film, it's like, okay, Tom Hardy's the hero. And they'll say, oh, he's anti-hero. Like, but he's portrayed as a hero. And in this film, you align with Emma Stone, but you know she's the villain. They are setting her up to be Cruella, the villain, and they don't forget that. I mean, it's so easy for films to forget the sort of destination for these characters. And I remember I saw the first Murphs, not the second one. I was like, oh, so she's really sympathetic. But it wasn't sympathetic as in she's had a tragic life. It was sympathetic like you're making her the good person, so they're morally right for their future plans. And I think this film almost did that, and I think the writing was very smart to avoid doing it. There's a big moment, if anyone's seen it, you'll know that at the start, where I thought, oh, that explains everything. And then I'm so glad they didn't follow it, because it was a very silly thing to have done. And instead they just play off the rivalry of Emma Thompson. And I think that's the crux of the film, is that it's the battle of the two Emmas. Emma Stone versus Emma Thompson. I absolutely love it. It was petty. It was wild. It was everything you'd kind of want an over-the-top film about fashion to be. That's coming from someone that wears like the same clothes pretty much week in, week out.
Yeah, I feel like I should have dressed up for this or something like that to fit in with the theme. No, the rivalry in this film is fantastic. Just the chemistry on screen between Emma Thompson and Emma Stone is brilliant. Dare I say, I would be, if we redid a Battle of the Brackets and did Best Film Rivalry, I'd be tempted to throw this one into the mix because I think it'd be a very interesting argument. They have massive similarities in their characters. They both like high ups in the kind of fashion industry. They're trying to get that aim forwards and stuff like that. And yet they're both incredibly evil in their own right.
Yeah.
And I know we align ourselves with kind of Cruella and stuff like that, but she does a lot of bad things in the film. But so does Emma Thompson's character. It's like, it is which kind of side do you fall on and stuff like that, because we obviously align our story with Cruella, she is the main character, we fall on her side, but you could easily see from either perspective, like at some points in the film, you're like, oh, actually, no, she's gone a bit dark. Oh, no, she's gone darker. Oh, she's gone darker. And it keeps on flicking backwards and forwards between kind of not knowing if it's a person going down the wrong path. I will say this, it is kind of merited in the end. Both of them are horrible characters by the end of the film. Absolutely awful. I just realized now, and it's worth bringing up because it's another film that I do enjoy watching. I have watched a few times, and after watching the film, it does kind of play off the screen that way. The director, Craig Gillespie, directed I, Tonya, which makes so much sense now after watching the film. You can just tell from the art style and direction.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying to think that like sort of nutcase main character, and I think he nailed it. One of the same actors as well, Stingray from Cobra Kai, was obviously in that film as well, which is blowing my mind. No, I think the Emma Thompson stuff is not the best in it because I think the whole thing's fantastic, but without those two, it can't work. That you're entertained by their story, and it's the build-up of it. Like every time they enter the room, it's this humongous, elaborate moment, and I think it's really well directed to achieve that. That if someone enters a scene, commands presence. There's a way of doing it by performance, there's a way of doing it by the looks, and this film takes both of them, escalates it to 1,000,000, and that's where you're on the edge of your seat with it. And I think because of how good they are in it, the pair of them, you just stay invested with them. And even if it goes over the top, and you said sometimes you think Emma Stone's going a bit too far, and then the other one is, and that a character as Baroness is amazing. That says everything you need to know. But I think that the pair of them are amazing. I think if you've got an origin, to make a villain origin, you need them to have someone higher up. That you don't want a villain origin to be someone that was wronged by someone in the right. If that makes sense, you need someone as horrible as Twisted to be their equal, or to be their sort of superiority, or less so. I think when you look at it from that perspective, I think it delivered on that. And I think one of the reason why is the fashion stuff. I'm going to jump in and say straight away, fashion-wise, we'll talk about some of the support characters in a bit. I would bet a lot of money right now on this winning best makeup and hair, as well as best costume design. I think this has 2 Oscars in the bag. I'd be more shocked if it didn't win costume, but even I just sat there like, you look at costumes and you think period pieces, and it's, they normally look fine and stuff, but I was like, I want to see more of that dress. I'm like, wait, we only get to see this dress for like a couple of seconds. It's incredible. I think all of it is amazing. What they're able to do, the costume for this film, and I think there's so many because I think when you've got that insane, elaborate costume design, again combined with the soundtrack, I think you just add so much with the over-the-top performances. It's a film that it's not trying to take itself too seriously. That we mentioned those Joker comparisons off that trailer. You think it's a really dark, edgy thriller. And this is the opposite of being dark and edgy. Yeah, it's funny. It's a caricature that we're so evil, it's funny. And I think that's again why it works.
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely agree with you there. I also think that there's a possibility. It's an outside shot, but throwing the hat in for production as well. I think the production for the film was absolutely amazing as well. To go on top of that, and as an outside shot, I feel like Emma Thompson probably would have the better chance of getting a nomination for supporting actress. I think if it was closer to the Oscars, Emma Stone would probably have a shout in for actress just through name alone, but the performance did match that. But no, I absolutely think that hair and makeup and costumes is an absolute dead on. I mean, we may as well just write that in the box right now as our number 1 choices for those categories when it comes around to the Oscars next year, because that's kind of the way it's going to go. Fantastic all the way through the film, even down to the tiniest little details of the costumes, the different changes in the hairstyles and stuff like that throughout the entire film. It is so well done. I absolutely love what they did with Emma Stone's hair. And I've seen different interpretations of Cruella de Vil, but I don't know why, but this one just stands out so well. I know I've only just seen the film, but it works so well. I feel like it's going to be a Halloween costume that people are going to try and pick up and stuff like that, because it's so simple and to execute. You just halve it and then one white, one black. And I know it was like that all before, but just the way that Emma Stone kind of wears it and pulls it off, it stands out. It's really good.
I think 'cause there's so many styles and costumes. Like you can imagine Halloween this year is going to have a lot of Cruella, and it's going to be one of those. But I think when it's animated, it's an older woman, it's this raggedy hair, this psychotic person, which we get all of that. But when you see someone younger in it, like a sort of A-lister type, it's very much that this is like fashionable in the sense that people, I don't think Cruella's a Comic-Con character, but if this was a Harley Quinn, people would be losing their mind at like 20 different haircuts in like 20 minutes and all that kind of stuff. And there's just so much props to them. And I think, and this sounds silly, the film would work without that, but all of that adds to the film. You get a fashion film and the fashion didn't look good, it'd be like it's a playground drama. Whereas this is like the ridiculous, over the top eloquence, and also combine it. The fact it's a period piece. It's I think early 70s, late 60s London.
Yeah, I want to say late 60s. Yeah, late 60s, I'd say.
And you've got obviously supporting characters and stuff, but one of them I want to talk about quickly, Artie. It's basically David Bowie, and I've got no problem with that at all. And it was there, like what this film did. It embraced that era. It's like they're calling it like the punk rock era, aren't they? That it's trying to be like that, and they don't have the same 100 people in the same 100 costumes. Like so many period pieces, every single person stands out by themselves, and I think that's why it works as well. That they've got not the production right, they've got so much going for it. And I think the time, we know it was. I can't remember when the original was set. I know the book came out in the mid 50s, so naturally it was set in the 60s. I think when they did the animated one, but it is one of those where they could have easily made this modern day, but they chose not to. By putting it back there, they got to have so much more fun with that era, and the fact it's a period piece, and I think that works in its favor.
Yeah, it worked for the costumes, it worked for the setting and stuff like that. I feel like if it was modern, it would have to go with modern fashion. I don't think that would suit this film. I think this film airs an element of class to it that kind of runs all the way throughout, and that's kind of maintained by all of the actors involved and all the performances. But one thing that does very much stand out into that era is we've called them the boys, with Jasper and Horace, played by Joel Fry and Paul Walter Hauser, who are very good in this film. I didn't like their younger counterparts, I'll be honest. I think their acting for the younger counterparts, sadly, was quite weak. And if there was one critique to the story, it would be the start was a little bit slow and spent a little bit too much time with the kids before actually going to the meaty stuff when Emma Stone comes on. But these two characters have such good kind of comedic chemistry, especially Paul Walter Hauser. I mean, you know him from Cobra Kai. I know him from I, Tonya. He's a great actor. He is a really, really fun actor, and he pulls off a very kind of convincing London accent as well.
Yeah, that was my worry, that you get a lot of these films where they'll put a sort of American accent. It's like, I'm not going to try, but it's like that. All right, governor, like when they're trying to be posh, sort of Cockney, and it always looks horrible. Yeah. But I kind of watched it. I was like, obviously he's a Tottenham fan, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like a West Ham fan. Like he actually like blended in, like he was a believable Londoner, and I think he's a massive. I've not seen Richard Jewell. I know that he had a massive Oscar push with that. But everything I've seen him in, like, I kept saying Sting because he's amazing in Cobra Kai. But when he's in Black Klansman, that's the thing. Like he's amazing in Cobra Kai. He's this kind of guy that he's getting serious roles, but he can do comedy. And I think it's one of those actors where everyone knows it's easier for comedians to go into drama than drama actors to go into comedy. And I'm just sat here again, like I want to see not more of him as this character. I can't wait to see some of his other films. And because I was a bit worried, the whole let's bring in the American for the humor, but he was just amazing. And Joel Fry, I didn't even realize this from Game of Thrones. Which I know him from Plebs because he was in the first few series of Plebs.
But yeah, no, it's really. Do you know what? Emma Stone also pulls off being British quite well.
Yeah.
I know that she has. I don't know what ancestry it is that is British, but I think either her grandparents are British or something like that. But yeah, no, she, for a person from Arizona, very convincing British kind of person, very much pulled it off. You've also got, it's such a stellar cast. I mean, you've got Mark Strong in there in a small role. We've already said about John McCrae playing Artie. He's going to be in, everyone's talking about Jamie as Jamie, so he's got a big year ahead of him. So really, really good cast. Really, really good kind of production and everything behind that, and quite a thoroughly enjoyable film.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think sort of final thought of it is that go and watch it at the cinema. Like, yes, you can watch it Disney Plus, don't get me wrong, but that environment, getting the big speakers, the big screen, that music, the insanity of it, I think you're missing a lot by not being there. And this isn't my tirade of just keep going to the cinema. There are some films better suited. It's not A Quiet Place 2 in terms of you must see it for the cinematic stuff, but this is just that balls out walls stuff. And go with your mates, go with who you can, and you're gonna have a fun time. It's a good trip out as well. It's like you took a trip out to watch a depressing film that you could watch anytime. This is a ridiculous, over the top, and it's just fun to watch. And it's really sad because, not to go on a tangent about the sort of the Disney live action stuff, but I mean, you were saying before we live, this is a film that I could have, I don't know the background of it, the behind the scenes. Did Disney say we wanted a Cruella film, or did somebody come to say, hey, you keep doing these remakes, I'd love to do a story about Cruella? And this is the problem we have now, and this isn't the same as Disney. This is superheroes too. It becomes a checklist of all this. Like, we've got to do this and that. But there was a Dalmatians film in the mid-90s because somebody wanted to do it, and they made a great one. I think this feels like it's I'm sure it's a corporate decision, but this feels like it's someone cinematics. Like, I would really like to make this film, not we're just going to adapt this one now. It feels like there was a purpose, and I think that again goes down to the direction of it. That you look at all them Disney films, and I like a couple of them. Love Jungle Book, but Lion King was just like Jungle Book worked. Now run to that one, same director, same everything, same CGI. That proved it worked, so we can do this. And I didn't mind that Lion King film, whereas I watched this one, and it's like this is balls to the wall insanity, and it didn't look like any of the one I've seen from them. It didn't look like Joker. It didn't look like it was some big art house thing. This was ridiculous in the most entertaining way. And I think it is I don't want to say must watch because that's like putting it like parallels at the top, but blockbusters to kickstart cinemas opening for a big summer ahead. I reckon this will be one of the best summer blockbusters of the year.
I completely agree with you. It's just such a perfect marriage between kind of the acting ability and kind of the director. Like, I didn't even realize until like I looked up on IMDb. It makes so much sense after seeing Tonya and then seeing this film that would kind of work so well together. It does feel like it's made out of passion. It doesn't feel like it was an executive decision to make the film at all. I know that I've been a huge critic of the live action Disney films in the past. I think in my head, only really Cinderella. I mean, Jungle Book's teetering on, but Cinderella is really the only one to me which I could consider to be a good, positive film, and I don't have many criticisms for. This film now goes up into that list of ones which are above kind of the rest. I feel like a lot of people were burnt out on the live-action Disney films and were kind of saying, they're just going to keep on shutting out these terrible ones, and people are just going to go and see them. They'll just end up as ones that go onto Disney Plus immediately. I'm looking at you, Lady and the Tramp. But like this film, it does need to go in cinemas, and people, I think you will enjoy it if you go and see it. Ignore the trailers. Don't go watch the trailers again. It's not worth it. It has nothing to do with the film. Go in blind if you can. But I would recommend this film. I think this one's going to be a really big one for the summer as well.
Definitely. Right. That kind of wraps up everything I can say on this. So what we'll do as usual, let us know your thoughts. Obviously, it's live. It's a late Friday night as well. So if you do comment, we do reply to all your comments. So keep them coming. Obviously, we're loving all that. Getting a lot more talk on those Bond videos. James Bond's here for a while. What a segue to talk about Bond from Disney. Diamonds Are Forever is going to be this Tuesday, the 1st of June. We'll all be on that one. So if you like Bond stuff, and of course with new releases, plenty more on the way. However, my head has just gone blank because I kept remembering this is the next big one. So there will be more reviews out. And if you want to find out what those are going to be, I need to check my own calendar. However, our social medias, at Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at Cinema_Savvy, letterboxd.com/Cinema Savvy, and our TeePublic link is in the description below. So once again, thank everyone for tuning in, for watching this. Let us know your thoughts because I'm actually very interested for the public perception for this one. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.